Welcome back, everyone. It's On the Line. It's Tuesday, September 5th, and I'm Cory here with Olivia Ekmane. On today's show, we're going to dive into the three big things we saw this weekend at meets across the U.S., top individual performers at those meets, stock up, stock down on a few questions we have, and we're going to finish with our national meet of the week, which is the Liberty Bell Invitational in Colorado. Now, September marks the true beginning of cross country across the U.S., and folks, well, it's about to get crazy. Crazy.
About time. I've been waiting for some cross country.
Yeah.
It's been nice with summer track and outdoor, but I feel like once we get into that next season, I get really excited for it. So I'm super pumped for cross country.
I think everybody is. This is a big season for everyone. Everybody gets into cross country.
Yeah.
Note before we begin, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So if you like listening to us, can you give us a rating? Can you subscribe? Tell your friends about us, On the Line podcast. And as always, thank you for your support. We love our listeners, and thank you for letting us know about it. Mm-hmm. Let's jump into action today. Three big things we saw from the weekend. We're going to start first with the St. Olaf Showcase. This is the state course in Minnesota. It's preview basically for state going up, and it's a tough one.
Yeah.
What did we see there, Olivia?
Well, I think the biggest headline going into this race was Sam Scott. I think just took the front page of the newspaper there from Minneapolis, Southwest. He grabbed the title in a 15:16 and also clocked a 190 speed rating, which is super high, especially at this point of the season, and also set a new meet record. Now, when I looked into his performances over the last year, he was third last year at this race, clocked a 15:34, and to also put this in perspective of how great this performance was, Noah Brecker won this title with a 15:26, and we already know how phenomenal Noah Brecker just turned out through the 2022-2023 season. So the fact that we were able to see Sam just put out a really big performance to kind of just punch the ticket out there was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great comp to put on Sam too, because he's probably looking at that himself, and how Noah ended up at last May of the year at what now is Foot Locker Nationals, what was before Foot Locker Nationals, then it was East Bay, and then it's Champ Sports, and now it's back to Foot Locker.
Bumping all over the place.
Foot Locker Nationals. Anyway, all that being said, in Minnesota, this is the place where the season starts. This is the place where the season ends. So it's a very, very crucial moment, I think, for athletes getting started here in cross country, especially for Scott. Mm-hmm. He also finished second at state last year in his classification. So ultimately, he's coming back hoping to get that state title in Minnesota. And right now, he is the man in that state. I think being on a state course is important for a lot of factors. You want to get a run on it, but you want to visualize how to attack it in future cases. But also you just kind of want to make a statement too. And I think, as you said, he definitely made a statement with the 15:15, and you can go up from there. Yeah. There's a lot of room for growth for Sam Scott to go up from there. I was looking at St. Olaf. It's no pushover. It's a hard course. What did you see from some of these performances?
It was insane. Just absolutely nuts. And so just great performances across the board. It's hard to do that I think of football season, right? When you go in, think of the FSU LSU game this past weekend. You're getting hit with these heavy hitters at the beginning, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the season. So the fact that that's where they're at is great.
I mean, St. Olaf, and Minnesota in general has some very hard courses, but St. Olaf, only 9 girls broke 19 on the course on Saturday. Only 2 boys went under 16.
Yeah.
That just means this is a course you can't play around with. You really have to know what you're doing on it and really attack it the right way. But Scott did that, I think, right here. And the one thing I will note about him going forward is, I was looking at the boys returners in Minnesota, and no one really stands out in a way.
Yes.
Other than him, he's been around for the last 2 years. He is the name to beat. He's kind of has a little bit of a target, I would say, on his back. But in some ways, there's good in that, because you race with that idea that I should win. I am the favorite. I can run with confidence. And you learn how to run as a star when you have that pressure on you. So great start from Sam Scott, and I think we're going to see a lot more from him in the future. Let's go to the Timpanogos Invitational in Utah. Also another great meet, and it might have produced the top storyline, I think, of the weekend.
I think so too. Yes. So let's take a closer look. Let's start with the teams before we go into individuals. Harriman versus American Fork. wow. Like,
Yeah.
Cory, it doesn't get any closer than this. We had a tie, but Harriman comes out on top, 49 points, and it all came down, like, the top 5 runners from Harriman, top 17, they had a 39-second spread. That's amazing. American Fork, top 15 with the 51-second spread, and I just felt like it was so close. I know we have a graphic, so we're going to put that up on the screen. Like, it does not get any closer than this. Those are all the individuals, your top 7 for both the teams, what they ran. Like, what could have American Fork have done? Like, I'm just mind blown.
This is what's interesting about this. Harriman did win, actually.
Yeah,
It went down to the 6th runner. That's what displacement's all about in cross country. That's what coaches will always talk about. You do have your top 5, but really what matters is your 6th and 7th.
Yeah.
If it does come down to that crucial point. What's crazy is that Harriman's 6th runner finished directly behind its 5th runner in the championship race.
Yeah.
American Fork's 6 was a little bit down the list there, but if you go to the junior-senior race, Ben Bradshaw won that in 16:04. You know where 16:04 would have placed in that championship race? Right where Harriman's 6th would have been.
Wow.
So these two are...
Oh, man.
Their 6 was 16:05. American Fork's junior-senior guy was 16:04. It's crazy how closely these two teams are now kind of synced together.
Yeah.
And
just insane.
And I like the comparison you had in football terms. I think we'll get into this a little later, but I'm not mad walking away from this meet if I'm American Fork.
Oh, no. You're not mad about that.
I lose on displacement. Like, I think this is one of your first meets of the season. You had a really good performance against one of the best teams in the country. And it just kind of shows you where you're at. Exactly.
Now, diving a little bit deeper into the boys' race, of course, Daniel Simmons of American Fork took the victory with a 15:07, 192 speed rating, which I was really impressed with, and this is your Gatorade Player of the Year. And just to think of what he did last year, he went 15:41 on this course, so just to see the improvement from 365 days ago is just outstanding there. And let's talk about the girls' race, because that was also interesting. You had Lone Peak and American Fork girls, who I felt like are top contenders. Like, just looking at the top, 50 teams in the nation, they're definitely both in there as well.
Yeah, I think that's a tale of two teams, too. Lone Peak is really a team of underclassmen and youth. They have just 1 senior on their team. They have 4 underclassmen. American Fork has 4 seniors, 2 underclassmen. Right now, Lone Peak has the advantage. If I'm looking at the course of the season, though, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a lock in on Lone Peak and then American Fork, because I think when I see experience, I tend to think that it does well over time. Not to say that Lone Peak will sort of stutter along the way, but
they're young. I feel like they're a young team, and I think that also shows the depth that they have as well.
For sure. I think Lone Peak's definitely going to give American Fork all they can handle, and young girls runners can do well right away. There's no knock on that. I just think this is going to be a matchup we'll talk about, and right now I don't think it's necessarily I don't think the ending is told just yet.
Right, exactly. And then we also had freshman Adria Favaro from Olympus, who took the winning time with an 18:18, and Adlam Meckham was 3rd there, 18:27, right behind Boston Bybee of Lone Peak. So again, we're talking about Lone Peak and American Fork. They were 1 second apart from each other, so close matchups already.
Yeah, great time there. All right, let's move to our 3rd and final meet to watch. This is the Marcus T Invite out there in North Texas.
It was hot this weekend.
Yeah?
So hot. Goodness gracious, but I feel like it didn't stop the competitors from really putting something together for their season openers, and we saw one of the Humphreys sisters, Samantha, really just take control of this race. And of course, we did not see Nicole, but I'm sure we're going to see her later down the road. But right now, this was Samantha Humphrey's time to shine. She won the title in an 18:40, and helped Flower Mound score 114 points, which was super fantastic. She won the title by over 12 seconds with a 17:09, earned a 143 speed rating. I know Ashley and I spoke last week about Flower Mound and like what they need to do to really just elevate this team even more, and I felt like Alexandra Fox, who finished 3rd in that race, did really well, 17:36. And we saw some underclassmen trying to like make their appearance here. We had Eliana Rivera, Emma Cheverton, and Megan Schmidt, who finished out the rest of this team in top 55 on the board. So we're looking forward to see what Flower Mound does. This was a conversation we had last year, and it's still this big question going into this season. We have 3 strong runners with the Humphrey sisters and also Alexandra Fox, who's going to kind of push those other racers to the finish line there. But overall, great on the girls' side. Do you have any thoughts on Flower Mound?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because there's not many threesomes, trios in Texas or in the nation that can kind of match up with Sam, Nicole, and Alex. I mean, if they had Nicole in this race, they would have scored about 80 points. So that's about 30 points to their favor, basically, with Nicole in the lineup. Now, I think the thing with Flower Mound, which they have time to work on, is basically, as you said, the 4, 5, 6, and 7. Where do they stack up? I think when you look at that, I mean, there's really 2 races happening in Flower Mound every single competition they get into. It's the race of the top 3. They're trying to get in the top 5 places in every single meet that they run.
Right.
And then it's the 4, 5, 6, 7. You got to race an entirely different race. Those girls ultimately need to race with themselves and really have to start to push up a little bit more. And I think that'll come with time. I think with different courses, it'll come there too. But if Flower Mound is to beat the Carols of the world, if they'll win another state championship, I think that's where the ultimate standing will come is in the 4, 5, 6, and 7 finishes.
Absolutely. Then that guys race, we saw a standout performer, Alexander Acuna from Denton Braswell, only boy to break 15 minutes on that course on a very hot day. So I must say that's quite impressive, just knowing it's been 3 digits literally for who knows how long.
Were you up there? What?
No, I'm just saying it was hot.
Okay.
Just in Texas this whole entire weekend, it's been hot.
I mean, Texas still is over 100 degrees every day. I mean, we're in Austin. I'm assuming in Dallas. Was it up in the hundreds? I
assume so.
I was just in El Paso. It was very hot there too. Just all around Texas. Yeah, and the boys, I was looking at Marcus T as a whole and why this meet's important. Last year, the boys winners, Carol and Capel, Carol ended up winning 6A at state that year. Capel finished 3rd in 6A. Angel Sanchez was 1st in 4A. So that was a predictor of future success. 2022 meet, Flower Mound won. They ended up winning the state championship, and Carol was 2nd in 6A, and they were 2nd. So it is a really important meet for teams that are there. Now, we didn't have the particulars at this meet. Deer Creek on the boys' side is from Oklahoma, and then Canyon was a 4A returning champion who went Deer Creek Canyon. What are your thoughts on Deer Creek? Let me just ask you there. What are your thoughts on Deer Creek?
I'm excited for Deer Creek. I feel like this is kind of, I don't want to say a sneaky team, but they have the history behind them that they can race with some of the top teams in the nation. And especially just kind of when they come down to Texas, they really elevate that meet even more. So I'm excited to see what Deer Creek does.
I am too. They probably were hoping for some of the bigger Texas teams to be there, but they ended up running a 15:35 average. Which is very, very good. Right now, that's 2 in the country as far as average is concerned. Even looking at last year's top averages, that would have been 24 to end the season. So Deer Creek, the performance they had, I think would stand up. I think if they continue that success on, they might stand up at higher and higher levels. I don't know where they stand in the South Regional when it comes to potentially qualifying for nationals down the road, but they definitely made a huge statement here. And then on the second point there, to Canyon, 4A returning champions. As I said, it was just in El Paso doing a story on Santa Lazario, and I know those boys out there are hoping to make a run in 4A. But that team out of San Antonio is really, really good right now. Their average is 15:51 for a smaller-ish school. Santa Lazario is going to have to run their best race all the way throughout the season, get better, because Canyon is kind of one of those. It's like the ultimate story. It's like, the top team, a little bit of the underdog, like what happens as they make their way up. That's something we definitely will be watching out for in 2023 here.
Super excited.
Let's move to the top individual performances of the weekend and explaining a little bit on why. Let's go to yours.
Yes, I kind of picked some athletes that we might not have talked about in the past. And I feel like they're starting to shake some waves on the cross country course. So I'm going to throw it to the girls' side first. From Kansas, we have Salina Central's junior, who is Caitlin Roop, and she won her season opener this weekend at the Great Bend Invitational. She was the only girl to go under 18 minutes for 5K, clocked a 17:41, and that was good to earn a 146 speed rating for her efforts. And she's the defending Kansas State champion, and last year was her first year running cross country, just based off her MileSplit profile. So I'm excited to see the growth that she's had over this last year. Looking forward to seeing what she does there. Yes. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Okay. All right. I felt like Cory was like, oh, wait, hang on. Okay. And then from Nebraska, I have Juan Gonzalez from Fairmont High School. He's another defending state champion from his respected state. 15:10 for 5K at the Augustana Twilight Cross Country meet in South Dakota, earned a 185 speed rating. So I know we throw speed ratings out there, but I think it's a great indication of just like where these athletes are when they run on this course, just depending on the difficulty level. The higher that number is, the better the performance. So the fact that we're talking over 180 and the fact that we're talking over 140s for these ladies, it really just shows how strong they are, and it's only the beginning of the season. So it just goes up from there.
For sure. So I have two here, both guys. Nathan Neal out of Bozeman came a little bit as a surprise, I think, to end last year. Him and Weston Brown really made a huge mark for Bozeman down the stretch in 2022. Both of them made NXN. Nathan was the third junior finisher at NXN last year, and he was more of a middle distance guy previous to that. Played soccer, didn't really put too much focus on cross country. He has put the focus on running ever since the last outdoor season.
Wow.
He hasn't ever broken 15. He starts at 14:50 at the Flathead Invitational this weekend, which is a new PR. This guy's really, really dangerous because I could very easily see him making his way into that sort of top 10 rank if he keeps putting on these types of moments. I think last year we saw it with Landon Haymeyer from Rocky Mountain. Nathan Neal kind of is a little reminiscent of that. I think Nathan Neal's going to have a good year. We'll just keep an eye on that. And then the next guy is Ethan Edgeworth of Cold Springs, Alabama. He ran 14:45 at the Scottsboro Invitational this weekend. Also an interesting story to keep an eye on. Didn't break 15 last year. He ran 15:14 on the same course. Is a small school runner. He won the 1A, 2A championship in Alabama. Normally you don't necessarily put too much stock into that, but he was 22nd at running lane. This time is pretty eye-opening, I would say, to start the year, and we'll just see if he can hang on and if he can offer something more down the stretch. But Ethan Edgeworth, Nathan Neal are my two guys here so far. Let's get to another one, and I feel like we'll be talking about her a lot this year. Elizabeth Leachman of Bernie Champion. What is she doing well right now? What she do this weekend? And why do her performances matter in the larger context?
Okay. I'm going to answer all your questions in one big statement here.
Okay.
Just a sophomore, and I think Ashley and I talked about her last week. This woman is incredible. Absolutely fantastic. 2 weekends ago, I was like, okay, I got to see what this girl does. She ran a 16:34 at the Wesley Chaparro Invitational, earned a 156 speed rating, meaning like she just completely did her thing. Now, at that point, I was like, okay, she put something together, right? But what can she do as the season unfolds? Well, she definitely had back-to-back performances where she's like, nope, that was not a fluke. This is serious. And so this weekend, she just put together another big performance. She ran at the Patriots Cross Country Invitational in a 3-mile race where she won the title in a 15:54 and earned a 159 speed rating and nearly won that title by 90 seconds. And so, we're releasing the MileSplit 50 rankings, and right now the preseason has her at 22, but, my brain is thinking like, wow, like we're already seeing some big performances from Elizabeth. Like her stock is definitely going to go up as the season unfolds a little bit more. And so she's just taking leaps and bounds compared to where she was last year. Like the fact that like she ran her season opener with an 18:16 for 5K, and now we're talking 16 minutes. Like
last year, this year.
Last year, this year, that's a huge leap. And so I feel like she is setting the tone. And I feel like since she delivered these back-to-back performances, I feel like the rest of the competition needs to respond to this because Elizabeth is like really out there just putting these big marks and really showcasing her talent right now.
Yeah, and I saw some of the comments on Instagram posts of Texas MileSplit. The course was I think roughly about 3.04.
Okay, so
for GPS, so it's definitely 3 miles. It was supposed to be 5K.
It was supposed to be 5K,
but a little short there. But I mean,
15:54 though.
Right,
Let's just say
right.
3 miles.
Right.
You know, like
low 16s.
low
for
16s.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a comp for her because her season last year, she really. I mean, she was good. She was top 20 at states, but she really wasn't the runner that she is now.
Yeah.
And that focus and that drive sort of put her, in the top echelon of Texas over the outdoor season.
Right.
She won state championships there. She really ran extremely well. That's kind of where her moment came, her breakthrough, and now it's kind of moving over to cross country. The comp for me, if I'm trying to figure out like who does she compare to, Isabel Conde de Frankenberg last year.
Yeah.
Kind of ran similarly. She was, it was low 16s at this meet last year. She ended up going to the state championships last year and finishing, I think she won the state title last year. And she's a senior this year. So I think Leachman has the same kind of characteristics, runs really well in big meets, has fast times already. I don't really know where this goes. I hope it goes, I hope she just keeps like running out of her mind here, but she's going to have a lot of competition because Conde Frankenberg is a senior this year. Kaylee Littlefield, Sarah Moorfield, Allie Love, all those girls were at the state meet and beat her last year, but Elizabeth is a different runner this year.
Right, exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see just sort of where this goes.
Right. I'm excited.
Yeah, she's one of the big runners to watch, but now we're going to move on to stock up, stock down.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, a new little segment here. We're going to go into some subjects, and we're just going to talk about whether we think their stock up or their stock is down. All right. First question here: are we worried about American Fork here losing to Harriman this week?
I am not worried. It's just the beginning. I'm saying stock up.
Okay.
I feel like it's such the beginning. We're still fairly new to the cross country season right now. And so if they put out big performances, I'm like, yes, this is solid. We're going to see what the rest of the season looks like. And the fact that it was, based off a tie. You know what I mean? So pretty much they're there. They just got to sharpen some things up. So I'm not worried about American Fork.
Yeah.
So stock up for me.
Stock up for me as well. You made the analogy of a football game earlier, and I'll continue that. If Alabama loses to Ohio State or during college football season on a blocked field goal, ended up going into the end zone, nobody's going to be like, "Oh, Alabama's gone. They're done for the season." If anything, that was a closely monitored game that went one way, could have went the other way the next time. So stock's still up on American Fork, especially when you consider just how good they get late in the season. So stock up there. Are the Deer Creek Boys a program that is to be feared in the South region?
Absolutely. Yes. Stock up. And the reason why I say this is because, like I said earlier in the show, this is a team that has proven that they can really toe the line with some of the best teams, especially in the southern states area. And I feel like they're just part of the mix. So Deer Creek Boys, yes, stock up.
I'm also going stock up Deer Creek. I think 1535 is surprising to me, really, from an Oklahoma team this early on. I don't think many people were considering it, and the fact that they put that down, I think, stock up heavily for Deer Creek. I want to see what they do in the future. Are the J. Sarah Catholic girls the best team in California this year?
Okay, this is a mixed question for me. For right now, I say stock up.
Okay.
My reason being, they competed this weekend, and I feel like they made a statement by winning the team title at the ASICS Cool Breeze. 43 points, finished with a 53-second split, 17:53 average, and they were led by a sophomore, Summer Wilson. And they had all of their 7 finishers in the top 20. That shows me that they're learning to work together as a team. That's a big average to chase after, and the fact that split was so condensed is huge. However, I'm also taking into consideration that Buchanan hasn't opened up yet. I feel like Ventura girls are going to be strong this season as well. So for right now, stock up. But ask me this question later when we have more performances on the board.
Yeah.
I don't know if my answer will change or not, but right now, stock up.
J. Sarah, don't hate me. Stock down
for
J.
Cory's
Sarah.
Gonna be that guy today.
Being the best California team this year. Great win, but as you said, Buchanan. I actually also think Oaks Christian, which is in the same division as J. Sarah, is going to be pretty good this year. They were competitive last year with them. I think they're going to be better. all that being said, Jay Serra is a annual powerhouse. They won their state title last year. They got to NXN last year. They got to nationals. And really that should be the goal this year as well for them. But to do that, they have to kind of get past some of these other teams in their divisions, and then in the merge ultimately. Right now I'm stock down 2. All right. Sam Scott won St. Olaf by 16 seconds this weekend. Are we fully on board with the Scott train to state?
Stock up for Liv.
You're not going to have any stock downs. I can already read this.
I have one or two. But yeah, I can't. Sam Scott's performance this past weekend was just incredible. And like we talked about, we're trying to find that next standout performer in the state of Minnesota. And I feel like Sam Scott just had his name's written all over it for right now. So stock up for me.
Yeah, I'm liking that. Sam Scott's a cool name too. Stock up for me as well. To the moon. I think he's going to have a great season. All right, last year 110 boys broke 15 minutes for 5K. Stock up or stock down on that number going up in 2023?
It's a stock down for me on this one. I'm just trying to figure out which boys are going to be able to, hit that mark there this season.
You're going to go through 100 boys to see if they can hit it or not? That's a lot.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So the fact to break 15, that's a high mark to hit. So I'm saying stock down. It was going into 2000.
It was the most sub 15s we've had in any cross country season ever.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot. And think of the talent that was a part of that too last year.
It's a tricky question because cross country is getting standardized across the U.S. with coaching, courses, shoes, technology, all that stuff. So you would think it's only going to get better. I'm also saying stock down because that is a high number, but I could also see it flip. So if anything, maybe I'm on the even kilometer. Last year, 26 girls broke 17 minutes for 5K nationally. Stock up or down that number goes up in 2023?
Stock up.
Okay.
I'm excited. I think the girls' side, just the fact that I'm so in tune with how these girls are performing this year, I feel like we're gonna have a handful of girls that are gonna break 17 minutes. I have no hesitations with this one. Stock up.
Yeah, same. 26. I'm gonna see maybe 30, maybe 35 here.
Yeah. See, I was thinking 35.
Okay.
I'm very optimistic. I was thinking almost 40, but 35, right there.
Well, I think it actually, if it doesn't rain in Huntsville this year, maybe we get a few there
favorite spot
at the Garmin Running League Championships. Yep. All right. Lastly, we are going to get into the national meet of the week. That is the Liberty Bell Invitational in Colorado. Over 3,000 athletes are already registered to compete on one of Colorado's top courses on September 9th. Olivia, why is this an important juncture in the Colorado season?
I feel like each state has their very own meet where everyone goes to see great competition, see where they are at this point of the season. We're putting, everything in the bag for this race. And I feel like that is the Liberty Bell Invitational, especially in the state of Colorado. And, I'm just thinking about the big performances we saw last year. We saw elite matchups that really brought out the best of the athletes. Think of Emma Stutzman was in that race, Ella Hagan, Addison Price, Brooke Wilson. They all went head-to-head on the girls' side. And then Christian Groydijk on the boys' side even made a statement in his post-race interview that, there were some things he wanted to take off the list early in the season that he wanted to accomplish to help him dial into a race strategy going into later in the season. So I feel like this is the absolute perfect race for everything. Great matchups, get some good times in, work on the little things that you've been working on at practice and really showcase your talent here. Yeah,
and Grundy actually ended up going on and he won the state title last year after opening up there. He was 5A champion in Colorado last year, so really good indicator there. I mean, I think if you just consider overall Liberty Bell champs over the last several years, Cole Sprout, 14:38 meet record from 2019. Parker Wolf, Hunter Strand, total of 8 boys have broken 15 minutes on this course all time. And it's one of those courses, has all kinds of terrain.
Yeah.
Sand, gravel, asphalt to end the stretch. It's uphill too, so it's kind of a weird but fast course. In a lot of ways, kind of like Boston Marathon. It's hard, but also it's fast in some ways. On the
Isn't
girls,
that hard to wrap your head around?
On the
It's hard but fast.
yeah. Sometimes it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
On the girls' side, 7 girls have broken 17 on this course all time. The top being Sydney Thorvaldsen, who ran 16:40 in 2019. Stutzman, as you said, Bree Oakley in 2016 in a legendary year. Lauren Gregory the same way. They battled it out in 2016. Brooke Wilson, as you said, last year. Some really, really all-timers have been in this race over the last, I think 7 years now. So it's become one of those meets where if you do well, you ascend and you move yourself up the pecking order in your state. So really, really important meet in Colorado. Now, while the performances will give us answers, what can we expect as to how that means something on the national level?
Yeah, I love that question because I feel like Colorado is the home to many individuals and teams that we have ranked on our MileSplit 50 preseason rankings, which are coming out right now. And it also has a lot of homes to people that I personally feel like could be national contenders later down in December. So I feel like it's going to give us a kind of a glimpse of where these Colorado athletes are, like I mentioned before, and just kind of where they are in this point in the season. We're going to see lots of great competition, which we're about to dive into in a little bit. But I feel like it kind of gives us a small microscope area of like, okay, this is where these Colorado teams are. They're going to set that bar pretty darn high.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like it's going to definitely allude to what we can potentially see at nationals.
In the last 7 years, we've had 3 national champions who have been at this race. Bree Oakley in 2016 ended up winning NXN that year. Parker Wolf was second in 2019 to Sprout. He ended up winning Running Lane in 2020. And then Sydney Thorvaldsen, when she ran 16:40 in 2019, a year later, she would win basically the COVID national seasons. There were a couple national meets there, but she was far and away the best cross-country runner that year. Cole Sprout, as I said, third at NXN in 2018, 7th in 2019. So if you perform here, there is some very recent history that says you will have an opportunity on the national stage to do something really, really big. So, I mean, looking at the names, no one really like jumps out at you, I think, on its face, but I do think we haven't seen enough of these athletes yet to really determine it. So let's go through the marks here. What teams are set to break out here? What athletes do we really want to watch?
Yes, especially on the girls' side, I'm really going to be focusing on Summit High School. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this squad does because they're going to be facing Air Academy, which is the team I feel like could contest for a national title this year. And I want to see how Summit kind of responds to Air Academy's talent. The Air Academy has Tessa Walter. There's also Bethany Mahalik as well. So they're coming in with a lot of individuals that can really elevate where we are in the season right now. Tessa Walter is an individual that I'm looking forward to on the girls' side. The last time she ran at the Liberty Bell Invitational was back in 2021 when she finished 17th overall and clocked to 17:47. So I'm curious to see where she is. And, you know, last year she finished 39th at NXM, which is huge. So I feel like Tessa Walter is going to be a leader for Air Academy as well as Bethany Mahalik. And, of course, this year we're going to see a big matchup as well. I keep talking about matchups because this is the meet to go to. You're going to have Bethany Mahalik in the mix, as well as Tessa Walter, Isabella Laurie, and Ella Hagan. These 3 girls have gone sub 17 minutes for 5K last year, and I feel like could really push each other. We're going to see some great racing. So who do you have for the girls' side that you're looking forward to?
I just think one team on the girls' side that might be able to steal this or win it is Fossil Ridge. They have 5 girls ranked inside the top 25 seeds entering this race. I think the depth is there for them to score the level of which that could win the race there. So I'm looking at Fossil Ridge potentially to steal it here in the girls' race. What about the guys for you?
The guys' race. I'm excited about this matchup between Matthew Edwards and Dan Eichen. Dan is the top returner. He finished 3rd at this race last year, clocked a 14:54, set a new personal best, and then later on finished 4th at the Colorado 5A State Championships. And you know, Matt is about to debuted his season with a 15:27 from the Cheyenne Mountain Stampede, which is their preseason race. And this is a guy that finished 3rd last year at the Colorado State Championships for the 3A race. So we're going to see some of these, you know, mixed classifications really battle it out, but also put out some really great times.
Yeah, I think Dane is a character that I think, depending on how he does, really moves up.
Yeah.
Because he's a very, very good runner for Valor Christian. He was an All-American at running lane last year, but he really, I think, exploded over the outdoor season when he ran 4:06 for 1,600 meters, and he ran 8:52 for 3,200 meters. Those are times which, if that training is consistent over the offseason, that will get you to levels that will allow you to compete at on the national stage. Now, is he a national champion? I don't know that, but he comes from an area where they're training in elevation. Valor Christian has a very well-known program that has guys come through and really perform at high levels like Cole Sprout. So I think Dane could move up with a really good performance here, and I think he could become a name that we start to talk about. So I really do like Dane there. Valor Christian, I was looking at the boys race. Do you think any team kind of stands out as far as like winners here, or are you like a Valor Christian?
I'm a Valor Christian
stan at this point.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I agree.
How about you?
I agree. I think Valor Christian, 4 guys ranked in the top 30 here entering the race. So I would have to think maybe they're the favorites in this race. As we said, very hard course. 8 boys under 15 all the time. We have 3 guys who enter with times historically under 15, Matthew Edwards, Ike, and Tanner Brown. We'll see if all 3 of those guys can get under that mark and kind of raise that level all time on that course. But it's going to be fun. We're looking forward to the Liberty Bell Invitational.
Yes.
Along with several other meets across the country in the U.S.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah. Stay tuned for more coverage on MileSplit.com. We'll have it all through the week and into the weekend. That's it for us here with On the Line. We will be back next Tuesday to talk about everything cross country and more. Maybe more stock up, stock down.
Ooh, I like that. Yes.